to another episode of the Make Mental Health Matter show. I am your host, Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, and I'm excited to be back in studio. It's been a couple weeks, but excited because you've seen one of my guests before, but you have not met my other guests. So we're just talking about random things before we came on,
Important things.
important random things. But that's the best part. And I think why I have both of them here is because we're really talking about comedy and mental health and laughing, and all of those things go together. And when you can have just random conversations, it's like the best. So
absolutely the best. By the way, it's great to be back on the show.
yes.
That's how I like to start it, where people are like, what? That's not the guy that was up. Was he?
Who are you?
I'm going through every episode now.
Yes. Well, I would love, so Joe, just share a little bit of information about you, Second Chance Comedy, and why you decided to come back.
Yeah, and I'll steal AJ's line. It's great to be back on the show.
Valid.
So to save you from having to go back and watch the previous episode. But yeah, Second Chance Comedy is a show that I started. So how it came to be was I started doing stand-up comedy about 2 years ago. And I have a past of drug addiction, and I started doing some just dumb topical jokes at shows, and more people would come up to me after shows saying, started telling me their story with addiction, and I don't know, just had this light bulb moment that maybe there was something we could do with this if we could all somehow share stories through comedy and things that are relatable to people in the audience, and we can kind of laugh about it together. Maybe it would help to chip away at some of that shame that so many people hold on to with addiction. So that's what spawned this idea for Second Chance Comedy. And then, I started booking venues. And then I got booked on a show up in Longmont with this guy one day, and he was telling this great story about something that happened to him. And I was like, hey, we need to get you on a show. And so he's become quite the regular on our show.
Nice. Well, and I know, so we've now, with Make Mental Health Matter, we've partnered twice. And we're about to do another one. But I have to say that I literally have almost peed my pants every single time because I'm laughing so hard. So we'll talk more about that. But
that is our goal.
Yeah.
We want the audience to pee their pants. That's what we're aiming for.
Really, it's about they're not allowed to leave until the show is over, and it is a 9-hour show.
Make them drink a lot of water.
Hydrate. Here's your pan.
It's not funny at all. We just put other elements in place.
There's no potty breaks. You can't leave.
This is the worst escape room ever.
Yes.
The relative humidity in this show is terrible. Most people don't make it.
Like 9 hours. Yeah. We're 8 hours in. It's cool. Yeah. AJ, can you share a little bit about yourself? What got you into comedy?
Ooh, solid. I was like, wow, right into that one. All right. I do want to say real quick beforehand, the way I met Joe, which was super cool. He mentioned that Longmont show. I loved, he'd come up to me and he goes, so you were talking a lot about being sober, but I noticed you had a beer. I was like, no, it was an NA beer. It was so great.
That was my biggest concern.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this piece of the...
You're funny, but you seem like a, how do I say, liar. Would you consider yourself truthful?
That's awesome.
But so I started doing comedy in 2003.
Okay.
I had, try to keep this somewhat short. I was working overnights at a UPS. I had a relationship that had really wrecked me. I came home early from a camping trip, and there was a new person in my room, in my house, and potentially was previously in my partner. I don't know if I can say that.
No, you're fine. Yes. No, you're good.
I tried to keep it clean.
No, you're good.
Maybe that was icky.
No, our demographic is like middle-aged women for the most part. So if that's helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's where she was. The guy, I'm not sure. We had a very short. I was like, hey, and he's like, who are you? And I was like, I'm leaving.
Fair enough.
But so I walked in on a situation that kind of jarred me. as far as mental health, I don't know. Like I got stuck in sympathetic parasympathetic phase. If you're familiar with that, fight or flight for the layman or laywoman. Is that sounds French? Laywoman.
Laywoman. Yes.
Merci beaucoup, laywoman. Fight or flight. I don't think any of that is real French.
I like that though.
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. So pardon my French. But yeah, so I got stuck in that. It's hard to put words to it, but if you took a picture of yourself or a video camera and just kind of shook it for a second, that's what I felt like my entire life did. And just immensely paranoid, couldn't sleep, like trying to figure it out. And what I'd realized at that time, I had lived my life for other people. So my identity was kind of behind what these people wanted. And I can track my life that way, where it's like, oh, I would date a person, and while we were in the relationship, I was like, oh, she likes this, or her parents are looking for this type of suitor. Also, that makes it sound like I was definitely dating in the 30s.
A suitor.
A suitor.
Courting.
According, yeah. That was my favorite term, where people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I met most of my partners on the basketball court. But yeah, so once she had left and she was like, this isn't happening, and there was no way for me to deny it either. I mean, that was the thing when you deal with potential self-confidence issues when you're younger, and everything is, I know, what? I was, inside joke warning, I was trying to do the Suds return. I was trying to get back.
Okay. Right. I feel you there. Okay.
Everybody gets turned off now.
They're like, all right.
Had some momentum.
Yeah.
Done now.
But so, yeah, I was trying to figure out who I was and where my life was without basically the person that I'd identified with or what I knew my future to be. And I heard about an open call for the William Morris Agency at a comedy club in Kansas City that I was, that's where I lived. And yeah, it was like 1 a.m. I heard it on the radio at work, and I was like, I think I'm going to do that. And a bunch of people I worked with were like, we'd go. Yeah, that's perfect. You're a real loony. And why not get paid for it? And I was like, solid, this is me. I also don't know. Like, you were like talking with my hands, and I'm like, I'm just punching nothing. Remember that, I don't know, you guys weren't here, but earlier I said I didn't have enough coffee, and I think, again, liar. So
with decaf.
Yeah, definitely.
Decaf.
Yeah, that's never mind. My brain was like, how do I make that a baby cow and a caffeine joke? And it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
My name is Doug.
Yeah. But yeah, so I signed up and went in to do comedy. And I'm not going to lie, part of that show was I was still reaching out to her and going, well, you're going to come to the show, right? And gosh, it makes me feel, it's kind of embarrassed, but like there's a part where I was like, in my brain, I fantasized about doing the show, and she was like, oh my God, you're so funny. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, I forgive you.
Yeah.
And then I never did comedy again. I just continued to live my bipolar life of a factory worker, fireman, and massage therapist, because those all match.
Right.
It's the same job.
Yeah. And yeah, what happened was we had the open mic. I was 40 of 40 comics, which if you know anything about the industry now, that means they did not care about me.
Okay.
There's usually
it wasn't the headliner. It was like not the headliner.
Oh my gosh, yes, I headlined my first show ever. I was the closer.
There was one drunk guy left at the bar. It was like 2 a.m.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring that up, because it was at a comedy club, but there was a woman front row center. This show had gone like 3 hours, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Because there are 40 comics. Everyone's doing like 5+ minutes.
That's what set the standard for your
That's
show.
what set it up. I have a tendency to go long. But there was a woman. First off, the woman that I was trying to get to come to the show did not show up.
Okay.
But there was another woman who was loaded drunk, passed out, face down on the just center table, head down. And I saw that. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm the last comic, whatever. And I got maybe 90 seconds into what I had planned, which was chaos. It was just like, hi, and whatever happened must have woken her up a little bit. This was, I don't know if you can see the shoulders, but her head's down, and I see this. That's not a good sign for someone who's 3 hours into a pass out. And then I was just like, hey, and then I just watched her go, and she just let it go, but never took the head up.
Oh.
So like the pressure of the table just kind of went, ah! It looked like a special effects on a horror movie.
Oh.
I saw it and went, whoa. And the host came up and was like, that's our show. And I was like, comedy.
Done.
And yeah, I still waited in the hallway until they were shutting everything down. And I'll never forget the owner of the club was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm AJ. And they're like, so? And I was like, yeah, I was on the show. And he's like, again, why? And I was like, I just thought maybe you or the agency wanted to talk to me. And he goes, not at all. Open mics on Monday if you want to come back down. And I was like, so I'm in. And then I left.
Like, okay, cool.
I was relentless. But yeah, that's how I started. And then it just was from 2003. It's like, honestly, how I found my identity. And it was a therapeutic way of going, this is who I am. I can be myself. And if I lose partners along the way, that part of me doesn't have to leave. Ooh. So I will always be this, whether someone's there or not. You know,
you said something early on in your story here. I think it was at like the 20-minute mark. I'm
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
This is the first episode that has it's a series.
Yes.
We'll get to question 2 next week. No, but you said something early on. You were talking about how like you realized that you had been living your life, how other people wanted you to live your life or something. And I think that's something that I realized probably in the last 4 or 5 years of my life is that like and I think a lot of people do that. You know, you're raised with this programming, with these beliefs, with like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to college, get a career, 2.3 kids, a dog, the white picket fence, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be happy. And I think then people get in their 40s or 50s and it's like they have all this stuff, but they don't have that fulfillment. But I realized that too, that I was living my life, you know, doing what other people said I was supposed to do. And I think letting go of that was very liberating, and comedy definitely helps.
Yeah.
Well, when you can, I was like, when you can make fun of yourself, sometimes it actually helps.
Yeah.
Because you're like, was that situation? I mean, obviously there's situations in our life that happen that are serious but it also, oftentimes, at least for me, I've been able to reflect on those moments and I'm like, oh, okay, I learned from it versus staying in that space in my life, right?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, is that you figured out that you were living your life for everybody else and that it wasn't you or who you were. And then you found this new identity, who you truly were able to step into as a comedian, both of you, right? And I know Joe's still in that space of, am I going full in with Second Chance Comedy, or am I like keeping as an employee? But it's like that space that you're like, I mean, everybody at, I think all points in our life, we have that like disbelief in ourselves. I'm like trying to think of the word and I can't think of the word, but yep, it'll come to me if it does.
You know, too bad. So Christy, who was supposed to be here, unfortunately she couldn't make it, but she teaches comedy to a lot of people in Denver. And one of the things I remember my first set, I talked a lot. My whole set was about leaving the church because I was really caught up in a very, we'll get into that episode 7.
Come on back.
Keep coming back. Yeah. But there was one joke that I had in there that she told me. She said, I don't think you're ready to joke about that yet. Ooh. And that's kind of an interesting thing with comedy is like, you have to still feel it enough that it's still real, but you can't be too connected to it that you're not quite finding the funny, because the audience needs to know that you're okay. Yes. The audience needs to know that you're making fun of yourself, but you're okay about it, because if they get that impression that you're still like beating up on yourself, they're not going to want to laugh at you. And,
Well, and I think it's a lot, like, not just comedy, but also in speaking. So, like, I speak and I share my story about the loss of my sister, and I had to be in more of a healing space to actually talk about it. It's still every once in a while when I'm on stage, it'll catch me, but I think that's the like authentic part of us, right? And I think that we still have to be in that healing space in a way, but that's great that she is like, I'm not sure if you should actually talk about that yet. So
And she's a really good teacher. She's taught a lot of people in the Denver area. In fact, we're doing a show next on the 7th at the John Hand, and she's headlining that show, and all 4 of us that are on it are students of hers. So
cool, very cool.
Show, so.
Well, I think just comedy in general is fascinating, and I know there's a lot more behind it than just standing on a stage and thinking that you're funny, right?
You're already ahead of a lot of the Denver comics right there.
Like, I mean, I think I'm funny every once in a while, but I'm not that funny. So, we're gonna go to our quick first sponsored break. But once we get back, I have a question that's popping into my head, so I will ask the question. So we'll be right back after this first quick sponsored break.
Have you ever felt completely alone?
Like your life doesn't matter.
One person dies due to suicide every 40 seconds.
You are not alone. Call the National Suicide Lifeline at 988.
Hope and recovery is possible.
1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder.
That's why empowering minds saves lives.
We need your help.
With only $19 a month, you help us save lives through mental health and suicide prevention education.
Scan the QR code or go to makementalhealthmatter.org to sign up as a warrior for mental health today.
My name is Adriana Morrison, host of the Health Revolution TV show. Join us Tuesdays and Thursdays live, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where our mission is simple: engaging conversations, elevating health and wellness, empowering transformation. Right here on the Achieve TV channel on E360 TV.
And like that, we're back. Oh, see? Oh, yep. That was cool. Well, see, this is a comedy show here because I tend to not unmute certain parts and then I start talking and nobody can hear me. So we're back.
There's just a whole awkward thing there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like this. They're like, what are these? I
so-
can see them on the, they're talking, but I don't know what they're saying. So
for an industry term, it's dump it, start over.
yes. So, and I don't do any editing on my show just because I like the authentic conversation. But there's always not always. There's usually some technical difficulty that happens. So
Just make that part black and white. It'll be like one of those old silent
Right.
movie type things. Or
Just does the.
that might be a good idea. Yep. Like, yes. The beep. Actually, I think I was just playing with the system the other day, and they have like the audience clapping and all the things. So maybe I'll add it. All right. Anyways, back to the show. But
time to take another break.
we're only on episode 1. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 coming up. It's fine.
No 6. No, that one got edited out. Forgot to turn the mic on.
The full 6 is gone. But I know, so comedy, we've been talking about comedy and how laughter is really good for your mental health, but also we go through these things in life that ultimately shape what happens. And it's that we figure out, like, what is our identity? How can we move into this place that feels really super uncomfortable? But we're also sharing these stories that are part of our life. You know, we're like making fun of ourselves in a way that is actually healing to people. But you also have to be careful as you go into these stories, because you may not be in a space that you're ready to share that. And the same, again, goes with speakers, is you want to make sure that you are more in this healing space to be able to actually have that conversation. And I know, I mean, the very first time I ever shared about my sister, I was like holding the phone and like shaking, right? But then as you say it more and more, it becomes a little bit easier. So comedy probably is very similar. Again, standing on a stage does not make you funny. There's a lot of backside.
Falling down on the stage
definitely does. You're like, if you suck, just fall. You'll be fine.
Whoops.
I'm actually going to remember that.
You're like, if nobody's laughing here, just fall over. Okay. I know that you generally MC most of your shows that you do. Why haven't you ever put yourself as a headliner?
Well, there's a few reasons for that. One, I'm a newer comic. I don't have that. There's something that, being a headliner isn't like, hey, I've got 30 minutes of material. It's like I have enough material that I can navigate and change direction and manage the audience. And there's a lot of skills that you develop from just many thousands of reps on stage that and I can give an example. We did a daytime show for a local recovery organization, and it was 2:00 in the afternoon after a 10-hour employee training. They were there since like 5 a.m. or something, and so I got up and I opened the show, and I couldn't get anything off them. I couldn't get a laugh. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so tough. But then Vaughn, who you've had on, and AJ were on the show, and they both did fine. They were able to open it. So it's like, and I just observed that. It's like, that's what thousands of reps on stage gives you, is that ability to kind of adjust and figure it out and pull. I didn't have that experience. I didn't develop those muscles yet. So that's one big reason is, I mean, and two, and probably the biggest reason more than anything, even if I did have the material and did have the experience, I think imposter syndrome is probably the biggest cause there. Like it's, but yeah, it's I really feel like the show should end with a really powerful headliner that's going to really be the memorable moment of the show. So.
And then you'd have to get an MC, like somebody else would have to MC.
Yeah, I am actually on the one on the 7th, which will be before this podcast gets released, I'm guessing. But I actually am doing a longer set on that one and having somebody else. I've done that a couple times where I'd have somebody else host, so I could do a longer set. But yeah, that's it.
If you ever need an MC.
No, all right. I remember that.
No. So AJ, you have been doing comedy for quite some time.
Yep.
Really,
thanks for reminding me.
You're
not
welcome.
Peaked yet. Many failures.
You got time.
Multiple albums. Multiple industry have said, we're going to go in a different direction. We wish you would.
That's okay, though. I actually heard something the other day that somebody was like, I want to fail first, right? Like, fail first to learn. And they always try to fail because that's how they learn. And I was like,
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I guess with a laughing audience, like, that might be a little bit different.
It is tough when they're not.
Yeah. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes. I have. I've had, so you fail a lot. That's just part of it, especially when you first start. What I used to do, I had a couple of people that booked shows from an open mic in Kansas City that never booked me. And somebody asked them why one time, and they're like, I always see him eat it. But that's what I did.
Okay.
Like at the open mic, I went intentionally to eat it. Like I would sometimes do a joke that I knew worked. I'd start to pop it off, and then I would lose the audience intentionally. Mm-hmm. And most people would ask why I was doing that. And it was, I needed to know what it felt like to be so far in the hole that if I could pull out, what that would feel like. Mm-hmm. And if I couldn't pull out and I had to just bomb, when I left the stage, how that felt. Because I wasn't being paid for that show. It was my home club, so I felt comfortable that I would get booked again. The open mic was supposed to be the gym. So what skills did you have to hone? And it was something that helped me.
Wasn't partly because of the masochist in you or anything? Or was that?
No, it really wasn't. Because, I mean, it was very uncomfortable situations. But learning how to bomb confidently. Because the thing is sometimes it just doesn't, you're not getting what you want. but it doesn't mean the audience isn't having a good time. Sometimes an audience, unfortunately, laughs internally, and they just smile. They're having a great time. You just don't think they are. And that's that thing where Joe was talking about reps. Sometimes you know where to cue your emotions. Like, so you're in a set and you go, this isn't that level. So let's level out our emotional response so that we know what we can do to get through it and not feel terrible.
Gotcha.
And what you're saying about bombing, I mean, that there used to be a mic at this place called Howie's that was on Saturday nights, and I had just started comedy, and I didn't know anybody in the comedy world, so I would go there, put my name on the list, and sit in a corner by myself, and they'd call me up, and I'd go up there, and I'd do my set like this, you know, and be like, everybody hates me, you know, and I did that, but there was something liberating about doing that, you know, like it's kind of like you just looked life in the eye and flipped at the bird, you know, like it, and I would drive home just kind of chuckling to myself about how ridiculous it was that I just did that, but that's like the biggest muscle is like learning how to not have that impact you in a horrible way, because when you're early on and you do a joke and you don't get a laugh, it's really easy to just shrink to the back of the stage. And when you can just kind of be like, okay, that didn't work, let's keep going, that's probably one of the
also when you're inherently, a lot of comics, myself included, is you kind of see that from the beginning of that story where you are inherently a people pleaser. So you just want people to like you, and so you're striving for all these things.
Pretty much why we're up there, right? Please give me some validation.
So the hard part is laying in bed after a show doesn't go well, go, why did 300 people hate me? And there were only 30 people at the show, but
Still, you know.
there's several other people from other shows that probably still dislike you.
You're like, they heard what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But
I had a show in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I had done this show several times. I went to the club every year. There was a guy, his nickname was Clap. He was like an old cowboy. He was wearing one of my t-shirts that I sold, which that's what's going to make the story so much worse. And he showed me the shirt.
Ironically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that. Every moment after this, possibly. But they used to have these shows what they would call triple features. And it was people that had the skills to headline, but they didn't have a following enough. So they would put 3 comics doing 30 minutes each and just kind of rotate them. And some people would get in their head and be like, oh, if I do well at this, they're definitely going to headline me. And you're like, no, just have fun. There's no reason to make this a weird contest. And I went up and I opened with a very long bit that at the longest forms can sometimes be like 12 minutes. And it's got this big thing at the end where this big tie-in where it's like, that's because you're living your life wrong. And it's even when people are like, that was okay. They see the writing. I'm getting nothing. There's like 260 people, sold out. First sold out show we've had. And I'm just like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I can feel the energy. Like I'm vibrating. I'm like, they're not knowing what's going on. Possibly having a panic attack. And then I went, that's because you're living your life wrong. To nothing. And Clap took his cowboy hat off, stood up and went, that's just a long way to go, man. And I went, ah! Like, it wouldn't have hurt anymore if he was like, well, guess we're going to burn this.
you're like, thanks for wearing my shirt.
And I was 7 minutes into a 30, and I went, there's so much more to go.
Well, and I actually love that you're using the open mics for practice, right? And that's what it's for, really, truly. And I think all people, so even when you start out as a speaker, you don't know what you're doing. And then you get to a place that, like, I feel more comfortable on stage than off a stage now.
Same.
And I never imagined in a lifetime. I mean, I took public speaking in college, and I thought I was going to die, like, having to speak to people. So you do. It's practice. It's the repetition. It's the getting up and doing the things that are hard and changing. I know for me, I have like a structure of my speech.
Structure. Notice the structure of speak for you. For money?
Pardon my French.
Merci beaucoup. Pardon speak me.
Yes. But I have a framework, but it changes all the time. I actually do much better just talking versus having slides that I have to go through. And I think that's what makes good speakers, right? Because they can kind of flow and see how the audience is feeling. And you can bring them, like, of course, every time I talk, I like bring people down and then I build them back up.
Yeah. You're like the Marines. At the end of your, do you enjoy my speak? Hoorah! And you go, okay.
I'm going to throw that in there.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, all of you, listen to me. Just kidding.
Now drop and give me 20. What? No, dollars, please.
Yes. But I think that it takes time and it takes practice, and nobody is perfect. And I think that when you start to learn and you take yourself to those places, because I know I was talking to, when Vaughn came on too, he was talking about the backside of being a comedian, and I was like, I figured it was harder than people think it is, but there's a whole, like, way more to it.
Go ahead.
There's so much subtlety to it too. Like, I mean, it's like the reps get you to a place. Like, I mean, if you watch a lot of comedians, there's some comedians that are super animated and they're like I've got my stuff memorized perfect and I smile when I do this, you know, like, and it's very scripted, and you have to get past that where you're being more authentic, but then you have to still have some emotional connection to the material.
I think that's the key. I think both of you nailed that. I think the authenticity is key because people see through it, right? And there are people that just write jokes and they deliver those jokes and people love the jokes and they can appreciate that. But at the end of the show, people go, well, what is that person about? But they didn't learn anything about the person, or they didn't emotionally connect with them. Because afterwards, they just don't know who you are. Like, you're not going to walk up to a one-liner comic, I would think, and go, hey, I enjoyed the show. And they're like, hey, I was in a taxi cab. And you go, oh, that's you all the time? How do we unplug you?
Well, that was, it is. Somebody told me very early on, I was talking to someone, and she said, worry about being interesting more than worrying about being funny right now. And I do think there's times, I know there was a time at Comedy Works, New Talent Night, where I know I didn't have the strongest set of the night there, but I got some laughs. But when I walked off, there was this couple there, and this guy leans over and is like, hey man, great set. And so there was something there that meant more to me than the laughter from the audience, like, that was relatable. And I've had that happen, especially with the drug material, where people will come up to me and they're like, dude, that was really relatable. I used to be a crackhead too. And it's like, oh, cool, let's go get some. Yes. I did have someone, oh my God, this guy at this one show we did, it wasn't a second chance show, just a regular show. And while I was in between, when someone else was on stage, I went outside. I was just standing out there, and the guy came out. He's like, "Oh, I loved your crack stuff, man. I was smoking crack earlier today," and it was like, and he just like went on. Like, the guy just started telling me about it.
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that.
How they changed the science of crack.
It was just like, but it was so strange. It's like, dude, are you just hoping I'll like give you some money or like?
Right. You're like that.
Sorry.
It's got a watermelon flavored crack.
Right. Imposter syndrome was a word that I couldn't think of earlier, so you said it. We're gonna go to our quick last sponsored break, but once we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about the comedy show coming up also. So we'll be right back after this quick sponsored break.
1,917 people die daily from suicide globally.
I lost my middle sister, Carrie, to a completed suicide on February 20th, 2017.
How does Kelli, host of the Make Mental Health Matter show, impact lives?
Number 1. Awareness.
My story, all over it, isn't unique. I am a domestic violence survivor and a recovering addict. For 14 years, I was in active addiction. And because of Kelli and the work that she does and the opportunity to have my voice heard, I was able to stay clean and sober and have hit a year. I'm still here. And if it wasn't for Kelli answering my call the day that I thought I was going to take my life.
2. Conversation.
I'm curious, and I know that I've heard a lot in the BIPOC community, it is very hush-hush. It's like one of those things that you don't talk about. Like, you literally feel like it's not a conversation you can have. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
First, shout out to Kelli, because I'm glad that she asked the question. I researched you before I went on your show, and I saw how real and authentic you were. And I just appreciate the question, because it is different, and we have to have tough, courageous conversations. So yes, I always say I'm a triple diversity threat. I'm a Black woman with multiple disabilities. Now, I'm not really a threat, but to other people, I may be, because people fear the unknown and what they're uncomfortable with.
Number 3, education.
Kelli's passionate commitment to mental health awareness is a beautiful thing. It's clear in her social media posts, it's clear in the resources that she puts together, in the activities that she provides, her collaboration with organizations, and the consistent way that she continues to deliver a message, encouraging people to understand that they can share openly and to break the stigma around mental health. Kelli's topics cover children and adults, talk about things that we can do as a community, things that we can do individually, and her website is packed with information and resources and all kinds of contacts that you can use to reach out, whether you're dealing with something yourself or you're looking to help somebody else who is struggling. I encourage you to check it out.
And like that, we're back again. This time I remembered to unmute us, which is great. Half the battle. Except for Joe. We're not letting him talk anymore. So if you just are tuning in, whether you're watching or listening, you missed a whole entire show.
Where
so
you
go
been?
back. Yeah, where have you been? Not here. So go back and watch the rest. So I wanted to shift just a smidget to talking about the comedy show that is coming up. I know you have multiple, and they're in Colorado. So if you're in Colorado, you have to come to Colorado. But eventually, maybe someday. And you've been on shows that are outside Colorado.
Canada. Yeah, I've been in the industry for a long time. People don't know me.
This is AJ.
He's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
He's got his own
small
shirt.
parts.
Do you have your mustache on your shirt?
Oh man, no, but I do have I'll have to find it. I'll show you this piece of art after we're done. That is for this new project that I'm working on in 2027. I'll have to find that.
Pretty good.
But it is good. The mustache is fairly new.
Okay.
I've gone from mustache to, if you look at old, I had a giant mutton chops at one point in 2012.
That's a good look.
I had a big beard. It was a real Wolverine situation. The problem with having any type of facial hair or any look, quote unquote, if you get stuck in it or you have too many jokes about it, you can't do them when you change the look.
Fair enough. Yeah. Then you have to just keep changing.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. So the show, I was like, facial hair.
Yeah, facial hair.
Actually, the thing that popped in my head was a Pringles commercial. All the mustaches come off and fly. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Oh, I thought this is really weird, but in the studio that we're at, I thought you were going to talk about the men's room. Inside the men's room, it's all like mustache decor and beards. And I was like, you got to check that out. Figure out where we're at.
I've never been in there, so
well, check it out. I'll watch the door.
Right.
There was a point where I was like, did I actually? It was early, and I turned around. And I was like, am I getting a shave? Like someone's gonna walk out of the stall and be like, hey.
Yes, this is a self-service location. So this
real Marx Brothers situation.
Like we're totally gonna have episode after episode. I love these episodes though.
And
yes,
welcome to nonsense.
I forgot to mention though, it is the first time I've ever had two guests on the show at one time, which is pretty cool.
Two boys for every girl. That was an old.
That was an old song.
Hey, I mixed it up. Look at that. I modernized the song. Ladies are getting the two boys. I don't think. You know what? Got it.
Rewind. Just kidding.
Yeah, and that's the last time we saw it.
I always do that. No, that's my rewind. So the show coming up that we're doing with or in partnership with Make Mental Health Matter, it is actually on Veterans Day. So we specifically wanted to put it on that day just to support, because veterans are one of our community that we
A lot of
support.
PTSD there.
Lots. And it's so good. Like mental health is so good for your mental health. Laughter is so good for your mental health. It actually, what I call the brain's happy juices, it helps release the serotonin, the dopamine, the endorphins. And also, if you're like me, you may almost pee your pants because you're laughing so hard. But the comedy that you do, and what I wanted to get to, is more, not every comedian, but most comedians talk about recovery or mental health challenges that they've been through, which I think is so unique. I tell everybody, I'm like, oh my gosh, you will never, ever, ever see a show like this. I feel like, I don't know, I haven't been to that many comedy shows, but I think it's
I've never
pretty
seen
funny.
another one, but
Yeah.
these are good.
But it's hilarious. I'm like, it is adult content, because I brought my son to the very first one and he was like, I don't get it. And I was like, good.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
You're a good boy.
Yes. He's like, I'm not
That's the
really
last
sure.
thing you want is your kid going, I really related to a lot of that. And you go, we need to talk.
Yes. Yeah. But I think,
Yeah.
right. I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's funny that we can joke about recovery, right? I know that it's a serious conversation and it's a topic. And I don't know if I've told you, but I have not drank since April, intentionally. So,
Nice.
and I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. So
It's losing steam. I didn't realize this. Like with the younger kids, not that I gave booze to younger kids. Like I don't know why.
That's how I make my money.
Oh yeah. Comedy's not paying the bills. These young kids are. Here you go. God, sometimes I wish I could edit my brain before it comes out of my mouth.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's losing popularity for some. I don't know what it is. Where booze was a very popular thing, like a stepping stone for kids to get into. It's like keggers and stuff like that don't seem to be all the
cool
rage.
thing. Well, that's because everybody's addicted to YouTube and TikTok and video games at this point. I don't know, but
you mentioned something that made me think of this earlier, and then I forgot. Now I remembered again. So before I forget it again, but something that's really hard to find, or has been challenging to find for this show, is like, it's a really fine line between laughing through the pain or laughing at the pain, and we want to make sure that what we're doing is laughing through the pain. And I've had a few people on some of the shows where I was, not so pleased with the result. But when I saw AJ the first time, I remember it was super awkward, because I'm like, here's this guy that's been doing comedy for 20 years and everybody knows him, and then here's me who's been doing comedy for a week and a half. I'm like, would you be interested in doing like a 10-minute spot at this little tiny theater way down in Denver? But he was so cool about it, and he showed up. And
sure,
I like doing comedies.
Yeah, but it's finding the people that like want to be a part of the show because of what we're trying to do, versus just, oh sure, I'll do your show. And so just having that, are you funny? Are you authentic? Do you care about what we're doing? Like, is there ability to make connection with the audience? And that's why he's been such a great part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite part about the show is opportunities to talk about things that sometimes don't translate into regular comedy shows. And it's interesting because you can work it in these shows. And I love to take those things and try to put it in front of what I would call normies. I also love the embracing of vulnerability with Joe's shows. It's something that I do in my regular show anyway, and I like it. I think there's a human aspect to it. I embrace failing in front of people, and just like, just like anything. Like sometimes I'll forget what I'm going to say, and instead of fighting it or trying to follow my set from point A to point B, I just go, hey, we're going to share this experience. We're going to have a conversation, an audience and me, and I'm going to tell you about some things that I went through, hopefully in a humorous way, and hopefully it's relatable.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, that's why I love this show the most too, is like, this is one of my favorite parts of what I do in daily, right? Like, I love the show because it's not scripted. I never, ever, and maybe that's poor planning on my part, but that's just my personality of like, I like to have those authentic conversations, and whichever direction we end up going is perfect. And then if we don't get to something, you can always come back.
The phrase I've always, well, once I found it, I tried to live my life by the phrase, we are perfectly imperfect. And it's such a good thing to remind yourself. Like the things that we may look at and go, that's a failure. Someone else goes, that was the spark. That was the beauty in it. That's what made you you. The thing that you're trying to hide is honestly your uniqueness. And I realized a long time ago that when you're young, the things that people make fun of you for or you get teased about is really the thing that you have to lean into, because that is what the world needs to see. And when you go, well, that doesn't bother me, like I can make fun of it, then what you've also done is unintentionally taken all the ammunition away from a bully. And they've gone, well, what now? And I'm like, well, now you're just big and dumb. That sucks. You got nothing else.
Yeah, I love that concept. And actually, I used to say that all the time, is being perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Because I hear all those people that are like, just try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, you change it, right? Like, I'd rather launch something imperfect than have it be perfect. For me, at least.
You know, there's a book I read called The Icarus Deception, and I can't remember, Seth Godin maybe is the author, but he talks in there. There's just a line where he says, "Accept applause, but don't expect applause." And he goes on to explain that if you go into something, like if I'm like, oh, this is the type of jokes that people are going to laugh at, so I'm going to do those types of jokes, I might get some short-term wins, but I'm not ever going to let my authentic person come out. And so it's like what's really going to work for you is if you are you and you figure out what is important to you to share with the world. And if that works, that's great. But if you're changing your behavior and your content and what you're doing for the sake of getting applause, then you're not being authentic. And what's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you even doing?
And I think that's the hardest part for a young comic, for sure. I know I wasted probably a good 10 years of my career just trying to appeal to what I thought audiences would want. Because by doing that was the safe way to get booked. And if you could get booked, you could start to make some money, and you were also getting reps. And I just didn't have the confidence to go, well, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, it's fine. Like if there's at least half the audience that will be into what I'm going to do, then I'm still winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything changes after that. You start to realize some of that imposter syndrome also quiets, because the imposter can't go, no, you got to do this. And you go, yeah, but look at how many times this has worked. The imposter's wrong.
Yeah.
Every time I watch my reels, I'm like, that's not even funny. Why are people laughing at that? These aren't even
But
jokes.
they
Like, I
are.
don't get
No.
this.
Yeah.
I have a couple of jokes that I love, and they work 99% of the time. And I don't know why they work, but I have fun when I tell it. It triggers the reaction in the audience, and I go, it's because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like if I gave if somebody else took the joke and tried to do it, it probably would not work.
Yeah. No, and that's what I think it's kind of like the structure thing, right? But I love that you said that you just have to be authentically you and put that in there, and it's not like what everybody else. And I think as we get older, because I know as I'm getting older, I'm like, I don't really care what people think about me anymore. And I've had people with that perfectly imperfect get really mad at me because they have such a big perfectionist in themselves that they're like, I hate when you say that. I'm like, I don't care.
But there's so much freedom in letting go.
Yes.
And like, it's not coasting, but it is just realizing you're in the right place at the right time, and everything will come. Just, you can't force it.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've tried to adjust with how I parent my daughters is like when I was growing up, you know, authority figures, teachers, police officers, parents, they were all perfect. They didn't have mistakes. And so it created this ridiculously unrealistic pressure on us that if we made a mistake, we felt this shame about it. And so with my kids, you know, I want them to see that I made mistakes. They actually come to my shows, you know, and at the beginning it was really tough. I'm like, yeah, you can come to the shows, but you're going to hear stuff about your dad that might surprise you. But I really think it's changed the dynamic of our relationship, because now they can come to me and share things without worrying about impressing me or worrying about, you know, being imperfect. But
Yeah.
I love that it translates not only on stage, but it also translates in your life, which I think is really cool. And we're probably going to have to do more episodes, of course, because unfortunately we are coming to the end of this current episode. So I would love for you to just share last minute, just any final thoughts that you have, not 20 minutes. But you can you can also share where people can find you if they want to follow
The
you.
bathroom, looking at mustache. Like, I don't know why that's the worst part. Hey,
he's not really
The bathroom.
Yeah.
So what is your final thoughts? And
My final thought, thinking about all that transition that we were kind of discussing, there's a great Ram Dass quote that I love, and that just talks about like how we come into ourselves and how we try to force things. And I believe the quote is that you can't pull the skin off the snake. It has to fall off when it's ready. And so then the snake becomes the new. And I just love that. It's part of, I think, the discussion of like forcing things and letting things come. But yeah, ajfinney.com. You can find me doing shows all over the country at AJ, like all my socials. I'm on Instagram, all that, YouTube. I've got a couple really big projects coming up in the next couple years. Yeah, and it's
can
been
you
great
spell
being
your
here.
last name for the people that are listening?
Yes. Thanks for not asking the first name. I would have really questioned A and J. Now, are there periods? Is it capital? Just, you know what? Just find me in the bathroom. Also, I wish I wasn't cycling on this bathroom thing. I have cycle thoughts. I don't know. I just can't stop thinking of what bike I'm going to buy. So yeah, AJFINNEY.
Perfect. And we'll drop the links. I actually love the snake analogy because it's the year of the snake. So I don't know. Anyways, Joe, any final thoughts that you have, and then share where people can find you?
Yeah, well, hopefully this gets out before the 11th because we are doing that show here on the 11th. So please come check it out. You can find my website, which drastically needs updating. There's that imposter. So,
hey, I've got a website, not a good one.
I got a website. It sucks, but go ahead. It's got some information. But secondchancecomedy.com. That's second SECOND spelled out, not the number 2 at the end. So secondchancecomedy.com. In fact, there is a comedians tab, and AJ is on that comedians tab. We got to get your website linked there, but his socials and stuff will all be linked there as well. So, and it's got shows tab where it shows all our upcoming shows. Secondchancecomedy.com. You can subscribe. You can contact me. Yeah. Anyway, that's our website and connects to our.
And when he says here, we're in Colorado and we're at the Village Workspace. Because here for other people, maybe somewhere in the globe of the world. But yes,
we're not in the Bahamas.
I wish. Next time we'll have like the
do it.
You're gonna get all sorts of comments. Where's the mustache bathroom?
Right, they're like, this is not in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do, make sure you come back next week. If you can come to the comedy show and you're in Colorado, it's in Centennial. It's at the Village Workspace. It is on 11/11, which is Veterans Day, and we're starting at 6:30, opening doors at 6. But it is an amazing show. I'm telling you, if you haven't realized yet, there's some funny people that will be there and not so funny people that will be there, or think I'm funny, but I'm not really
This
that
guy
funny.
is headlining.
Yeah, he's headlining. Sorry. We might have more jokes about the mustache bathroom.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
where is everyone? They're really obsessed with the bathroom.
yes. We're like, we're taking the show to the bathroom.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, make sure you come back next week. I go live every single Monday at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. on Dream Vision 7 Radio, or you can watch on E360 TV at 5 p.m. Mountain Denver time. And we'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.